My oldest son does not want to take my last name. That sounds a little interesting. It's a little rough, right?
Sounds terrible.
Let's
But I understand that, the stigma that comes with it, and the non-acknowledgement of just being like, hey, like, I matter, I've been doing this.
I would fight to the death with this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is something. This is literally legacy.
The human race is divided in two distinct sexes, male and female. While the typical man is a simple creature, there exists a subgroup, the nice guy, a dying breed of chivalrous, romantic, domesticated gentlemen whose qualities are desired by the opposite sex, allegedly. However, they are dismissed and confined in such concepts as the bestie, work husband, and the dreaded friend zone. Joe, Jason, and Manny are the last of the nice guys.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to another great episode of The Last of the Nice Guys. I am your host, Joe, and along with me is Jason and Manny. And tonight's episode is a father's tale because, goddamn, it's supposed to be a good one. So, Jason, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And welcome back to our fearless leader, Joe. Thank you so much. Great cameo. Fantastic. Yes. A Father's Tale, the name of my enemy. This is the discussion we're going to have here. It's not, I'm going to preface this, it's not about trashing my offspring, it's not about trashing his mother, but it is about expressing a situation and getting the responses from my peers, you people listening, and of course these fine gentlemen here that are literally the bestest friends I've got, and who are single parents, and who are fathers, and who have shitty baby mamas. So let's get into it. A Father's Tale, the name of my enemy, brought to you by Jason. Before we get to this, there's gonna be a prologue. Let's just get right down to it. My oldest son does not want to take my last name, and he will not take my last name. Hard stop. That sounds a little interesting. It's a little rough, right?
Sounds terrible.
Let's hard stop. We had this. Now, why did this come about? This came about because the day after I put down a sizable deposit for his 18th birthday, which is, my God, sizable deposit on this haul. The very next day, which is befitting Mother's Day, we got into the topic, and he said that I'm also a shitty father because I'm forcing him to change his last name, and it's not. He doesn't want to change his last name. His identity is wrapped up in his mother's last name or maiden last name. Everybody knows him like that way. All his documents are that way, and these are things that are absolutely correct. And so I decided to just jump off the hill. This wasn't something I wanted. This wasn't the hill I wanted to die on. And this is a phrase I always use. So I said, fine. I said, keep your last name as is, but understand choices have consequences, and that's it. We're done. And I thought that was the end of the story, honestly. Was I butthurt? Absolutely. But that was it. That was the end of the story. I thought that was the end of the story. So before we can go any further to what led to this episode, we have to answer the question, okay, well, Jason, why don't your offspring have your last name? That's the question. If we rewind, and I've never been shy about this, I've never been shy about this on the podcast, I've never been shy about this to my kids. They know this. One, and I've said this many times, I never, 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 never wanted to be a father. I never wanted to have kids. I have my own issues with my father, and I did not want to perpetuate the cycle that was visited upon me on my offspring. The man told me I was cursed to repeat the same sins that he did, and blah, 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 blah. Women ruin your life, have kids, ruin their life. I didn't want to do it. And anybody that knew me, any woman that met me, any woman that knew that I did not want to have kids, including their mother. So she knew this, and still we procreated. And fatherhood was thrusted. It's a nice way of saying forced. Was thrusted upon me, not once, twice. Okay, well, it's this. I'm not blaming her, but it is a reality that my firstborn was the product of, if we use her father's term, a trap, or what was it called? What's the phrase I want to use? Irresponsibility. My second one was a product of a lie. And that's it. That's just the reality of it. A trap and or irresponsibility, her trapping me, or irresponsibility on both our parts, depends upon which story you want to believe. And the second was a lie. It was based on a lie. A lie of omission, a lie of fact, whatever she wants to call it. She lied to me. So that's how I ended up having 2 kids. I have not been shy to state that I was an angry, miserable, bitter 19, 20, 21-year-old. I was told I was going to be a father by a girl I had recently broke up with because in my own opinion, she was batshit crazy. And she comes back. I'm pregnant. I'm 19 years old. I'm in Florida. I'm 1,500 miles away from my family. I'm about to ruin my life and completely disappoint my entire family. Imagine for a moment the stress that is placed upon this man who doesn't want to have kids to begin with. Was I nasty to her? Absolutely. Again, two-way street though, but I'm going to focus only on me. Was I nasty? Absolutely. Was I bitter? Absolutely. Was I angry? Absolutely. And I'm going to say rightfully so in my own way. Now, you don't know the story, the full story, and it doesn't really matter. The fact is that this is the reality of it. Now, why wasn't I originally on the birth certificate, and why don't they have my last name? I wasn't at either birth. So and again, I've never hid this fact on this podcast. I've never hid this fact to my kids. The first reason, if I have to explain myself, first reason for my oldest, I was in New York. I was working as a chef assistant. This is how I prepared my money. Okay, I was working. Well, yeah, there we go with Mr. Joe here. Okay, we were there. You know, whether I was on the grill, the deli, or working in the back.
2004, 2006,
2004. You're absolutely right. 2004.
God.
So I'm working at Silver Gull, and yes, she's due in August. School starts back in August. I want to make it very clear. At that time, I didn't live in Florida, and all the money I made working at this location, I took back with me, and that helped shore me up for the school semester. She wanted me to come back a month early because she was due near the beginning of the semester. So I'd already been back by then. She wanted me to come back a whole month early. That was a whole 2 to 3 weeks. We're talking about 3 paychecks. We got paid weekly, I believe. Was it weekly, Joe? Yeah, we got paid. That's 3 paychecks she wanted me to miss out on, to sit around and wait for her water to break. It sounds callous, but I'm a recently turned 20-year-old with a baby on the way, still in school, no career. I need all the money that I need. This is how I'm looking at it. I'm a very practical individual. I denied it. We got into a huge fight about it. I said, no, I can't. I need to work. You're not working. Your friggin' family hates me. I don't know if they're gonna assist or do whatever. I need to make sure I have money. She ended up giving birth to my oldest the week before school started, I believe. It was the week before school started. And because I wasn't there, she didn't put my name on the birth certificate. She didn't give them my last name. The lie she's been telling for years was, because I wasn't there, they wouldn't let her. put my name on the birth certificate. They wouldn't let her put my last name on the birth certificate. I still work in the healthcare system that she claims this happened at. And I've tried to corroborate this story for years. And every single nurse and doctor and administrator that I've ever told this story to, even at the hospital upon which she says it happened, says that's not true. That wouldn't have happened. She lied. Plain and simple. There's no way around it. Let's jump to my second child. And again, these are all facts I've discussed, I've atoned for. I'm not shy about stating this. Second one, I had failed out of my last semester of school. The stress. I lost my work study. I lost my college job. I had one job. Money was bad. I had no cell phone. The only way to reach me at that time, 2005, was Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 at work. After that, you couldn't reach me. I had no house phone. I had no cable. I had no internet. I had no cell phone. My second one was born on the weekend. I had no idea. There was no way to reach me. I had no cell phone. I wasn't even home. I was actually DJing a friend's party for some extra bucks because I was still a DJ sort of at the time. So I didn't know. So again, I wasn't there. She didn't put my name down on the birth certificate. She didn't give me my last name. That is the reason why neither of my kids all these years have had my last name, and only 2012 did they get my name on their birth certificate after, for whatever. That's the reality. Now, yes, I missed their births, and this sounds like excuses, but it's not. This is the situation that happened. I did not choose not to go. I was angry, I was bitter, but I can't tell you whether I would have gone or not because I don't know. The opportunity wasn't there. I like to think that I probably would have gone because I have honor in me, but regardless, that's the situation. Okay, so why now? They're 17 and 18. Why now? It's because learners permits are coming up. The birth names are a mess. But I finally was able to, all right, let's backtrack. To change the last name of a child, you have to either have both parents agree or you have to put a court petition. I knew for a fact she would never let me change their names. So I never tried to. I would bring it up. Trust me, every time I had a chance, I'd bring it up to her. She knew this. She knew this is a source topic for me. When she sued me for my parental rights in 2012, she was on child support and she sued me for my parental rights. She wanted to strip my rights to just every other weekend, not 50-50. She didn't get that. When I finally won that court case and got things reversed, I put in my countersuit. I want their last names changed. I finally said, you know what? I have an opportunity. I'm already in court. Might as well do it, right? Now, if this was because, and by then, I was a superb father. I really wasn't even really a bad father when they first were born either. I was just not all there, but I still watched them. I still do what I had to do. She stopped having to bring over supplies for me when she brought them to me. Less than a year in. So I was doing my thing. But this is years later. Now, this is 2012. They were born 2004 and 5. At this point, I've had them 50-50 with her by choice, not by court, by choice. Sometimes I have them more often than not. She could call upon me whenever she wanted to call upon me, and I would get them, hands down. It was never a problem. When the time came to give me my right, their birthright, she challenged it in court. Just like I said, I knew she always would. When she countered or objected to them having my last name in court, the judge asked her, why don't you want this man to have, why don't you want you guys to have this man's last name? He's an attentive father, whatever the doctor said, the judge said. She said, well, they don't want his last name. The judge said, that's irrelevant. It's not about what they want. She goes to her second thing. Well, sometimes I still use my maiden last name. She goes, you can't do that. You're legally married. You're not allowed to do that. She was about to come up with a third excuse. The judge was tired. The judge said, you know what, forget it. Tack on the last name, put it in order of alphabetical order. Let's move on with our life. And so the order became that their last names became triple hyphenated, because my last name is hyphenated. Yeah, you see your face? Triple hyphenated last names is what I left there with. Now, mind you, the fact that my name is hyphenated is a joke in its own right. It's annoying. But for me to think that I have to now have my offspring have triple hyphenated last name, triple, GHH,
Wow.
that is a nightmare to have 5 parts to your name, because she refused to give what little control and what little leverage she had over me. Now I'm telling you right now, and this is what I said to him. I said, if your mother choosing not to give you guys my last name and choosing to leave me off your birth certificate, okay, was not a malicious act against me, then why, when the time came to correct that error, did you have the nerve to stand up and object? Now, I want to make it very clear. I'm a superior father, okay? Superior. Between me and her, I'm going to say this right now, I'm the superior parent. I've learned how to become a dad and a daddy, okay? I have done the best and even better than I thought I could ever have been. I'm going to be very, very clear. And I was at the height of that. No, actually, I've been going over straight, but I was so high up in that pedestal in 2012. She had no legitimate reason beyond being malicious and nasty and disgusting to object in court, but she did. And that's what I left it as. I said, you know what, let me leave it be. This is, it's over, moving on. Why is this a problem now when they're teenagers? Well, they want their learner's permit, okay? And I said, this last name nonsense has got to be fixed. This is a nightmare. I said, you've got to get rid of your. I said, I'm going to get rid of your mother's maiden name off your names. You're gonna have my last name, and we're calling it a day. Because I've been steadily, anything that I signed them up for, I added my last name to them without hers, to get them acclimated to the idea that this is where I was going.
Right.
This is going to happen. Her last name is literally my enemy. It's my nemesis, because she is. Everything that we're revolving around that last name is negativity to me. When we jump forward to now, and again, it was on Mother's Day. That's when he told me he didn't want it. This is what he wants, and I backed down. You think it'd be over? No, it wasn't. When I explained to him that, okay, fine, my name doesn't need to be there. If you're not going to use my name, you're not going to identify with my name. You're not going to. It means nothing to you. Then you don't need it on there. Is this petty? Maybe, but is it just how I feel? Why is it going to be there if you're never going to use it, or you're going to ignore it? You don't need to have it then. Go back to the way it was. That's how I felt. He protested, saying, why am I removing it? Blah, 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 blah. It became a huge fight. And then he said to me that it's my fault, or just as much my fault, as to why his name is the way it is. I'll make it very clear. I had no say in my children's name whatsoever. She changed it, chose it on her own, and that's fine. We did discuss the first child, but she gets mad. She named him whatever she wanted to name him. I hate both my kids' names because I wouldn't have chose those. And when he said this to me, it crossed the line that broke me fundamentally. That which is a twofold thing. A, it's good because it means I'm not numb, and B, it showed me that certain things still do bother me. What in this case, and I give you guys a very truncated version. I could read what was said because this is done via text. It's not necessary, but the name of my enemy, which is my oldest choosing to keep his mother's maiden last name, even though he understands that she did this maliciously, that it wasn't my choice, that despite whatever issues that was between me and her, that was the wrong thing to do. I told him that what kind of stress and heartbreak it was for me to be called, because, okay, here's one of the biggest things. Anything that has to do, and I said, this is how you know that this is tradition. They have their mother's maiden last name. So when I'm addressed as Mr. their mother's maiden last name. 17 years. Doctor's appointments, school appointments, anywhere. Because it's tradition and traditional that the children always have the last name of their father. So they rightfully think that I am Mr. insert mother's maiden last name here. for 17 years off and on. It happened so many times, it became a joke with my kids. Whenever it happened, they'd crack up because they knew I hated it and they knew that it was wrong. What does that do to a father, a good father, a superior father's soul, when his oldest doesn't want to take his last name? And it's not like, and so I ask you guys, in my situation, in this situation, what if it happened to you guys, how would you feel? How would you go about dealing with this? Because I make it very clear. I've got some surrogate kids that I mentor, and I know some baby mamas who have some shitty, either absentee fathers or crappy baby daddies. Their kids have those last names. Do you know what it feels like to know what kind of father I am? But I have these crappy guys who whether they care or don't care, their offspring have their last name, and they didn't even earn it. And because of a choice or behavior that I made as a 19-year-old scared kid, this is my legacy. So now that my rant is over, I bring it to you guys. What would you do in this situation? How do you handle something like this? Because it's not his fault that he's used to his name. It's not. The original sin was his mother's. His original sin was back then. Because even if she did it out of anger for me, because she thought I was going to be around for whatever reason, which never happened, it should have been fixed. And then when the time came to fix it years later, she protested it. And it leads me to this situation right now. What would you guys do? Or advice? Mind you, the situation is over. It's done. But, this is something that's going to bother me for years.
Is it done? It's really done?
Mm-hmm. I told you, there was no fight. The fact that it came up was because I told him I was removing my name completely.
Right.
From his thing. So it's not going to be the middle name. It's not going to be anywhere there. It doesn't need to be there. If you're not going to use it, you don't like it, it's gone. So he took it. The fight that we had was unnecessary because I wasn't forcing it upon him. I said, fine, go back to the way your original birth certificate was. I'm just going to go back to it.
Does he know that it usually has been like that since the dawn of time?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he knows.
And that's the staple of pretty much having kids in the first place is making. I mean, it's like the same thing as getting married. Like you're
correct, but again, I'm not. This is not about trashing him because it's not his fault per se.
I know
because the original sin belongs to her.
Well,
this would never have happened had she not done this is literally the single worst thing she's ever done to me.
Right.
And it is long lasting. It's lifelong. She's done some shit to me. Okay. She can claim whatever shit I did to her, but whatever shit I did to her, that crap ended in 2005. She could only bring up stuff 16, 17 years ago. I could bring up stuff 16, 17 months ago. Literally. So, and you guys have heard it on the podcast. The last 2 or 3 Father's Tales.
We saw it.
Saw it. Right. That was a joke though. So that was during the height. Of the longest peace we had ever sustained, and that was due to me because I had a purpose to it. Then she fucked it all up. If you want to know what she did, check out A Father's Tale, the last one. I don't know, at 68.
She made a live appearance.
No, that wasn't that. That was our anniversary. That was our 50th episode or something like that. Okay. Anywho, so what do you guys think? I mean, it's and to his credit, he to avoid a rift between me and him, he said that he was willing to take my last name and put his mother's maiden name as his middle name. And I said to him, I don't need a son who's willing to take my last name. Drop it, don't worry about it. And that was the end of that. So again, it's not his fault per se. I mean, is he slightly inconsiderate? Yeah, a little bit. But am I also being inconsiderate of how he feels? Yeah, probably. But it's a battle between me and him that should have never happened. Where you guys stand on this? Or what would you do? Or how would you feel what advice would you give me to handle this going forward in the future, Dr. Manny?
Well, you know, since I have, like, you know, many children with many different people. I just
you have three kids,
I
women, okay?
I
Three
beat them.
kids
I
with two
beat
women.
them into submission after they've already made me a sandwich forcefully, and you know. Now, honestly, listen,
Mayonnaise.
as someone who um feels the same way as never really wanting children, it never really mattered to me. Uh, you know, my son, my oldest, he has my last name. Um, Not that his mother and I were ever married or anything of the sort. It was
Mhm.
just something that was just agreed upon. I don't think it had anything to do with whether or not I was there for his birth. My daughters, pretty much the same thing. It was just an agreement, and then, you know,
It sounds more like it's just an acceptable. It's an
yeah, I mean,
acceptable outcome. It's just what you
right.
do. It's like breathing. You know what I'm saying? It's you have kids. Kids get the father's last name. Moving on. So that's that. I mean, I see what you're saying, but that's why there was an agreement, because that's
Right. But
the yeah.
for me, it wasn't like if it ever came to the point where, you know, um it's your last name or mine, uh I don't I think it would have just been like a middle ground for me. Like, I don't, like, if you don't want my last name, fine. I like my thing is, because I don't really care for my last name. I'm not really a fan of my family or that part of the family. So for
Okay,
me,
so
it's like,
let me hold that part. So okay, so for you, it's a non-issue. However, part of the I don't want to use trauma, but a part of the crappiness of them not having my last name was being referred
to by somebody
by
else's
somebody
last
else's
name.
last name because that's what they
It's
expected. Could you handle that? Could you do that for 18 years of your life
I think
and always be
it's
correcting it? Every new school,
it's
every new doctor, every new specialist, every new everybody. And then the stigma of, why don't they have your last name? This is a
well, the
question I've been
funny
asked for years.
no, yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, it's happened to me a few times.
Mhm.
Like when my son was living with his mom, and obviously she's primary emergency contact or whatever, I would always get, you know, hey, can I speak to Mr. Lit? And I'm like, that's not me. That's like,
Mhm.
you know, I'm definitely, I was like, yeah, same last name, so
Mhm.
just go with his last name, you know, whatever. I don't know what they were, because even then, like, if you're looking for the child, like, you
That's
like,
just stupid though. Why
yeah,
would they ask?
that was stupidity. It's like
That's
you're
stupid.
looking at the parent's last name, not the child's last name, and you're
Right.
going with that. Like, it was dumb. I think it even happened with you know, my daughter's mother. I think it happened like once or twice too. And
Mhm.
and I mean, for me, it was just like, I it would have probably gotten annoying if it was like, you know, like an everyday thing, like, oh, can I speak to um Mr. So and so, and it's not my last name. I mean, it would have definitely gotten annoying, but again, um me not really caring about it.
Mhm.
I mean, that whole legacy thing, like, I get it. I mean, it was never really a factor for me when it came to
Mhm.
having children or whatnot. Um, but the stigma that comes with it, like, I get it. Like, it's like you've done everything you can, and you've proven to be the better parent, and you're basically just being acknowledged as the secondary. And of course, like, that's got to be super frustrating, especially now, you know, at the point that you're at right now. Like, you've had them, you've done everything with them, and to still be referred to and not even acknowledged, like, that's it, that's a deep cut, you know. That's
Mhm.
especially to the fathers in the world, you know, like, if they're doing everything that they can, you know, to the best of their ability, or even more, you know, than the other parent or whatever. And you know, you don't even get that acknowledgement, because that's, you know, not, for me, it's not a bothersome issue, because it's not it's not something that I deal with. So it's whatever. But I understand that, you know, the stigma that comes with it, and the non-acknowledgement of just being like, hey, like I matter, I've been doing this, like therefore you should just like, let's not wash away where you came from, but like let's just move forward and stay here, you know. As far as advice, I mean, I really don't know. This generation nowadays is all about identity, man. Like, you know, it's the number one thing. And he grew up with, you know, the many last names as every Spanish person does. Like, like I always joke about it being a Spaniard.
Well, no, he only grew up with his.
Well, yeah, he grew up with just hers,
Just
and
hers,
then just
hers.
recently,
And
like
then,
as a few years ago,
yeah, a
was it
few
like
years
10
ago,
years ago, you said?
yeah, a few years ago, like 2012. Then it was added on.
It was triple hyphenated.
It was it was supposed to be. Actually, they messed it up. They interpreted it wrong and put my last name in their middle name spot. All these years, I had no idea till last year when I went to go get their
double hyphenated. That sounds stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I had to get that fixed as well. So
how do you?
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
That's
Me.
That's too many hyphenations. Like
Yeah. So yeah, they it was supposed to be triple hyphenated, which I found to be whatever. And I took it for what it was because I said, you know what, it is what it is. Because, and I made it very clear, if we triple hyphenate these names, your mother's maiden name will never show up in any official documents. I said my name
because she doesn't have that anymore, and I don't even understand why the judge would allow that to happen, considering that she doesn't even use the name.
In the judge's defense, she was tired of, in my opinion, of my kid's mom's nonsense. She just didn't have any time for it. It seemed she was just done. She was done. She didn't want to hear it. She said, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. Tack it on, put it in alphabetical order, which means my name would go first, and let's move on. So she did that because she knew that on any official document, the mother's maiden name would never appear. Like right now, in my official documents, I get Grant-Henriques. That's it. HENRIQU, I think, and that's about it. Or HANRI. So it would never show up, which is why I say the triple hyphenate makes no sense, you know. And whenever I brought it up to them, it's like, oh, yeah, the last time we talked about it, she's like, I was thinking about getting rid of the boys' middle names. And I said, get rid of your last name. How about that? She just looked at me. You know what it is that I feel like she was never able to control me. She was never able to trap me and get me to do what she wanted to do. So the very limited control she still has over me and my world and my psyche is stubbornly maintaining on her maiden last name on our kids. It's malicious. And knowing how it bothers me, it's downright evil. Joe, I gave you a little bit of this via text personally, which is actually what inspired me to make this the topic for today. And you said that if your son had refused your last name the way mine did, you would have had words. Tell me more about this. How would you feel if this is the situation you were in? And then tell me what you would do. And
no, my ego is not big for a lot of things. It's not anything, but
exactly.
But this in particular, I would fight to the death with this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is something. This is literally legacy. And I know that sounds kind of dramatic to say, right, but I talk about this a lot with a lot of people. And it's important to know that your kids have to have some type of legacy.
I just want to make it very clear. I absolutely agree with what he said. The reason why my fight is over is because my offspring doesn't want it. So I want to make it very clear that there was no point in fighting and forcing him to do something he didn't want to do, so he could resent me for something that is literally his birthright and literally something that was supposed to have happened anyway.
And like I agree, it's not really his fault.
No, I'm just saying. So I just want to make it very clear that I absolutely agree with you. And if anybody says, why aren't you fighting it? It's because I'm not going to fight him on it and force that, because what's the point? Now, if it was against me and her, I would fight forever. I'd spend all the money at this point to do it because I'm just so tired of the disrespect. So, but carry on.
Yeah, which leads me to want to say like a lot of, which leads me to, let's say, a lot of terrible things about her because, and I don't even know her like that, and I'm glad I don't. But it's just weird to me how
And I hate her so much.
I hate her so much.
it's just.
Hey, I feel the same. I feel the same with you guys, baby mamas too. So I'll take you guys' word over anything. I don't even
Oh, I
want to know
don't
their
know.
side.
But the thing the weird thing about that is like I can sit here and say and talk about how bad mine's is, and
Yeah.
she definitely is, especially now.
Yeah.
But the great part about what has been going on for the past few years is that I've been left alone, and
Yeah.
it's one of the best feelings in the world. And it's almost not to bring my shit into it because mine is like really
No,
not
bring it into it.
close.
Bring it into it.
It's not even yeah, but it's not even close to in comparison to what is going on with you because I was there for when my kid was born.
Mhm.
And I
Rub it
made
in my face, why don't you?
I made well, no, I mean I would never do that.
Manny, were you there for your kids for all your kids' births?
I was trying to rub it in your. Yeah, I was trying to rub it in your face. No, it's my salt rock, but it's
Okay.
pink and it looks like a dildo. So,
That's the color of my
I was,
just rub it in my face. Come on, rub it in my face.
I was, I was there for all three of them.
Ooh, 3 of them, Jay.
Yeah,
I know. I couldn't even make it to two.
I was there all
2004,
listen,
2005.
listen, it's not like I wanted to be. Okay, like listen, do you know what it looks like? Like it is what that. Listen, I didn't want to be there because
Yeah, but you don't. You don't have to watch the vaginal tearing.
No,
you can just stand next to her. Can't you?
I have been scarred for my entire life because I was there all three.
That's why Manny hates low.
I was there for all three of them. I mean, of course, it's a magical journey for women, and I don't think that it should be missed. You obviously it was not in your control, so obviously I'm not going to call you a piece of crap, even though I believe you are in other things. But but it's just being there is definitely an experience. And I think part of the reason that you're going through what you're going through with him is the fact that he knows that you weren't there. And a lot of that is stemming from her.
He knows
Yeah,
that. But
a lot of that is stemming from her.
And I've never hid that fact. But the simple fact is that has nothing to do with you. You are the only thing she's told him about how awful and mean and bitter I was. Mind you, none of this was visited on my kids. They never felt that shit. Okay, I have pictures from them long before I woke up and said, be a good dad. If I say first year and a half, maybe miserable, bitter, never visited on my kids, never saw it. What she's referring to is how I treated her.
Of course. And
that's independent of my fatherhood. But
that's just how it is with, like, again, with this generation. Because again, I have he'll be 20 next month, actually. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, we're in May. 2 months, he'll be 20. And again, a lot of it has to deal with identity, who they are, where they came from, which parent was the bad parent, which one was the good parent. And it's not even like, oh, you were the bad parent because you did this and this and that. You were the bad parent because of what my opinion is of you, through what I was told. And again, I haven't dealt with the same thing with when it comes to honestly, my son, again, I don't shy away from this either. I haven't spoken to him in about a year. And
your oldest?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been about a year.
Did you miss that episode, Joe? You probably did, you piece of shit. Because he talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Was I there?
I don't know. You clearly not. Clearly not.
It's been almost a year that I haven't spoken to my son, and a lot of it has to deal with just his impressions and his beliefs and feelings of how I treated him. So again, it's a generational thing, man. Like a lot of the things that are going on with these kids nowadays, they don't understand. They weren't there, and everything that they understand is purely speculation. And that's the sad part of everything. He looks at you as like, you were a great dad this whole time or whatever, but you were still, shitty for whatever. And I feel like, this and this, and I feel this kind of way. So I this is the ground that I stand on. And again, nothing against him. Again,
Oh no,
he's lived
everything against them. But carry on.
he's lived his entire life with the name that was given to him, and it is what it is. Like I said, it's all about identity to these kids now.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are afraid of change. So a lot of the decisions that they make when it comes to change doesn't even make sense. So it's like, okay, if you change your last name to a normal last name, or just back to your last name, who's it gonna hurt? And I get, did you even ask them that? Like, who are you afraid of hurting?
No,
or who are you afraid of?
It's not about that. It's about he literally said that's my name. That's it. That is my name.
But that's where you got to put him in his place and just be like, so if you were to change your name, like, again, you recognize yourself, this is the thing that you've done your entire life. If there was a situation that it had to be changed, like there was just no questions asked, it has to be done. What's the issue? Who's it going to hurt? And who's it really going to bother?
I didn't go that far, because when he wouldn't understand that this change isn't a change, it's correcting a wrong.
Right.
I said, this is not a change. This is correcting a wrong that was done to me many
and
ago.
And to both of them.
Exactly.
Not just
I
you,
said,
just both of them
you need
too.
to understand something. This is what your name should have been all along.
Yeah,
it's not about change. It's not about. I said, but he understands that, but he doesn't care. You see what I'm saying?
He doesn't care because he doesn't fully understand it. That's why he just wants to be done with the conversation.
But that's the thing, though. I did end it though, and I said, "Fine, retain what it is, and I will restore you to the way you see yourself." And I did not battle this. I did not. He stood up to me and said, "I want to say in this. This is how I feel. This is what I want. Don't treat me like a child." And
which at this point he's not. So
well, he legally is. But I said, okay. I said, fine. I let it go. I dropped it. The issue came about because I said, you won't have any of my identity, because it makes no sense. Because the triple hyphen in the last name, or having my name is in your middle name spot, makes no sense, especially when you weren't going to use it. So take it off and put it back to the way it was. The way you identify, the way you have seen you say you see yourself and everybody sees you. It's just that he took that as an attack against him.
He felt like it was an ultimatum in some sort.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
No, of course it wasn't. But that's just how he takes it.
It was me respecting it. I didn't say I'm done with you. I didn't say you have to leave the house. I didn't say any of that shit. Which is the funniest thing about it is that he knows how badly this crushed me. I didn't curse him out. I didn't tell him to get out of the house. I didn't tell him that I wish I wasn't his father. I did say I wish I didn't put that friggin' money down on your party. If I knew this is how you felt, I wouldn't have done that shit. I would have given you an insert your mother's last name kind of party here, not a Grant-Henriques party. I'm celebrating you like a Grant-Henriques. I'd have celebrated you like insert your mother's maiden name here. That's the only thing that would have changed. Conversely, the Saturday before Mother's Day, and I will make it very clear, I didn't do this maliciously, but it was definitely inconsiderate of me. I booked us tickets to go see Doctor Strange on Mother's Day. I didn't realize it was Mother's Day. I honestly did not. What I thought was, I like to see movies on the opening weekend. I have a younger son. He works Fridays and Saturdays. So logically, if I want to go see a movie on the opening weekend and my son works Friday nights and Saturday nights, you book it on Sunday. And I did a Sunday matinee. That was my thought process. Then it clicked in my mind, holy shit, it's Mother's Day. I immediately acknowledged that with my kids and said, listen, let her know. We'll go to the movies and I'll drop you right off right afterwards. But I wasn't canceling the movie. Why? Because she wouldn't have done it for me. And she hadn't done it for me. In the past, she absorbed some of my Father's Day. So, and literally told my kids, and I shit you not, do not contact your dad until after we're done celebrating your stepfather. That's what she told them to do.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Oh
brother.
my God.
Truth. This is a true story. And it was
Christ.
one of the years where I had booked parasailing for us at South Beach, okay, for Father's Day, because it's something we had done when they were much younger. And my oldest always regretted being a little shit on that cruise and not going parasailing. So I said, okay, I got some bread. I want to go. Let's go parasailing. And they knew we had plans. I told them, I got to get you guys early Sunday. We have plans. She wouldn't let them contact me until after they celebrated her husband, their stepfather. Did we go parasailing that year? No, because we missed the window and I lost that money. That's one example of shit that she's done to me. So when I not maliciously, but inconsiderately booked a movie and said, you know what, we're just gonna deal with it. That's what I was thinking about. I said she wouldn't have done it for me. She has fucked me over many, many times. So it's okay. She'll deal with it. When he told her, hey, Dad was unaware, but he booked a ticket for us for movies. When we see the movies, he'll bring us right back. She had the nerve to say, he did this on purpose. He's trying to keep me away from you guys. And she said to him, I would never do that to him. Well, my son remembers that very occasion. And he goes, well, actually, you did. One year you told us that we couldn't contact him until after we did brunch with the ex-stepfather. He gave her a concrete response. What did she do? Get out of the house. How do I know this? He called me to pick him up. That's the difference between me and her. She got upset because he called her out on her bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You can go home.
I'm
Go
sorry.
with your father.
That's called that's a woman.
Correct. Well, true, right?
Right.
When my son tells me, I don't want your last name, and literally crushes my soul, I didn't shut the door in his face. I didn't say go back. If it was any time I had the right to say, then go back to your mother. Go live there and be insert her last name here. I didn't do that shit. That's not who I am. That's the difference that I'm talking about here. But I'm still being punished for a scared 19-year-old 17 years ago. What does that do to a man's soul? What does that do to a man's heart?
Her bullshit mentality is starting to trickle down.
Yeah.
Onto the kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even know what kind of damage you're causing. It's
Okay.
really sad.
It is. It's unfortunate.
That's a grown adult too.
Yes.
That's the worst part about
yes.
it.
Yes.
I mean that's just what happens to, unfortunately, majority women that do it, or mothers, I should say, when they're angry and spiteful, that's just what they do. They use the children against the father, and that's just it sucks, but it's majority like women, because fathers don't do that shit.
No,
we don't like.
That's
we
exactly
could,
what
they
don't do it.
We don't care to be spiteful to women like that. Like I definitely, like, if any situation, I'm not gonna go, go fuck your mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like I it's like, listen, man, like if you want to be angry or whatever, like just be angry. Like I choose peace. And that's just how men are structured.
You choose peace. I just want to be left alone. You choose peace. You choose peace. I just want to be left alone. I have. If there's one consistent message I ever said to this woman for the last 17 years is, leave me alone.
Leave me alone. But that's peace.
Just leave me alone.
That's your version
my
of
version
peace.
Of peace.
Everybody has a different version of peace.
Just leave me alone.
That's it.
I thought I was gonna get ready to do some more fighting like you did, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out I was moving to Georgia, I thought I was gonna get ready and just.
Well, you didn't think that we had the episode relocated,
right? But this is before. This is before the episode when I. Mm-hmm. Had gotten calls from the department saying stuff like, oh, we're interested in blah blah blah. That's when I knew it was finalized. But I thought I was going to get ready to go, throw them hands up in court and start, doing terrible shit.
But we expected that, because the episode I'm referring to was way in the beginning.
Yeah,
and you were even considering relocating, and you said that she had heard the podcast and she told you, "You can take my son nowhere."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then
And that
that's
mhm.
that's what happened when we had the conversation about it. And my son actually stepped in and said, at that point, you know, he was very articulate like he is now. And at that point, he said, you know, he's like, I may just want to stay in school and then go to daddy's house and then go with daddy. And that's exactly what he's doing now. And there's no, that's why I said earlier before to you guys, for the past like maybe 3 years or so, maybe going on 4. I may be pushing it with the 4, but feels like 4. There had been no issue between me and her. And the reason why is because, well,
yeah, I went about 2.5 years strong with peace and actual like friendliness.
Yeah.
You know, but of course that was for my own, you know, reasons. That I had an agenda and I was succeeding in that agenda.
We don't even have I guess we have peace, but you know, we don't talk often at all.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. The only
yes.
The only times that we do talk are when I find out that he goes to his mother's house, and even at that point, he'll tell me first. Second, I have this Life 360 app, so I have it on his phone, so I track wherever he's going on that app. So when I know that he does, I mean, if I'm over here and he's up there, it's just too different. It's too
no,
different.
I'm messing with you. I should probably put that, but you know, my kids are angsty, whatever.
Yeah, well, for you, I mean, I don't even think they'd probably find that out and take it off themselves.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
So, but at that point right now, I'm just saying, like, to be in that situation, I don't think I can ever deal with that, because like I mentioned earlier, my ego is way too big for this, and my last name is way too important. And flat out, let's just be honest with you know, between the 3 of us, my last name trumps yours in regards to hers. I'm sorry, it does. This is how, I'm not trying to be sexist, I'm not trying to be old fashioned, but I am old fashioned, and I will, and you're gonna meet guys like that in your everyday life. There are guys who are very old fashioned, and one of the old fashioned things is that when you have a child, they automatically get the father's last name, and it's very, it's just to me, it's, you know, I grew up with a lot of father figures. Well, not 3 mainly, but to me it was a lot, and it's very important to be that man for your children, in that sense of, okay, now my kid has my last name. Now when he gets married and has kids, you know, he can decide what he wants to do, because he'll be a grown-ass adult. And then if he has that same mentality, then so be it. But me personally, just speaking on me, I can't allow something as stupid as a woman telling me, and Manny mentioned this earlier about how people just want to be identified nowadays, which is complete utter fucking bullshit. And how a woman can flat out in verbatim say, I want my last name instead of the father's, aka the man. And that's and when you told me about that earlier, when you talked personally via text, I got so upset that I was putting away clothes
the wrong way.
I was just,
you were just crumpling that shit and throwing it in your drawers.
I was like throwing it across the room. Because it was like, bro, this is, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unreal. And in the hyphen name, I knew that your name was always hyphenated.
Yeah,
I mean, I've known you for 8 years.
I want to get very clear. I want to get very clear. Okay, well, why can't they hyphenate yours? Your name is hyphenated. That's what my son threw at my face. He's like, I'm just gonna do what your parents did for you. Your name is hyphenated, so I'll be hyphenated too. It'll be your last name and my mom's last name. I said, hold on. The hyphenation in my last name was a decision made by both my parents. They came to the conclusion that they'll hyphenate the last name. My mother wanted our last name to be my father's last name. My father, because of believing in racism and stuff, didn't want us to have his last name because he was afraid of racism. Grant sounds white, Henriquez sounds minority. This has been, I've corroborated this story. It sounds stupid to be thinking about this with your infant, but that's how he saw it. That's the kind of man he was. They decided to hyphenate it, where Grant went first, because in the end, Grant will always show up first in legal documents.
Right.
That was a decision made by both my parents. Now, them not having my last name was made by her. and her alone maliciously.
Yep.
So I told him that. I said, it's totally different. You can't equate two different scenarios. My parents agreed on this. I still think it's stupid. I hate that I have a hyphenated last name, but it's still my last name. Okay. And it is what it is.
That's crazy.
But for them to go that and take it a step further and triple hyphenate a triple last name, what kind of madness are we talking about here? Hyphenated last names are madness as it is.
I wanna slightly interject so we don't sound 100% misogynistic. We are referring to fathers that want to be involved. For the women that have the fathers that don't want to be involved and you still choose your last name over the father's who's not even there, fine. 100% hands down, that's fine. We're not talking about those gentlemen that refuse to be around.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
If they don't want to be a father, then they have no right. They have no they should have no conscience in the child's last name whatsoever.
But they still get that honor, Manny. That's what I'm trying to say. The majority of the women with shitty baby daddies still give those kids that man's last name. And this is a fact, an objective fact. The majority of women, despite what kind of man they have, okay, do that. I mean, change it later, very rarely. But I'm telling you right now, I am the surrogate. Listen, my best female friend's son calls me daddy. His last name is the last. Daddy. Yes, you do. Yes, you do in private. His last name is the last name of his father, who has only met him 3 times in 5 years. Okay. For me to have that child called me daddy, knowing that his father has the right and the honor of having that child have his last name. And mind you, most of these women, these shitty guys are shitty while they're pregnant or before. So it's not like he got birth and then he became shitty and you're ready to give. No, they're already shitty. This man was in jail, I believe, when he was born. And he still got the goddamn last name of this man. I have been around since practically the dawn of time with my children. No, since the dawn of time. I was there, period.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I was there, period. What am I talking about? Okay, I met my son at 2 or 3 weeks old, or 2 weeks old, I think. I think I was 2 weeks behind. You know what I'm saying? I was there from the beginning. I may not have been there the way she wanted me to be there for her, or married to her, or any of that bullshit. Okay? But I had to, and I don't want to say suffer. I'm not playing victim, but I had to deal with this nonsense for their entire life, and it's still happening now. I'm a good man, good father, but you have these shitty guys, and so I agree with what Manny said. We're not saying because some guy is a sperm donor, he gets the last name. I'm not saying because he's the father, you shouldn't put him on child support. Blah blah blah. If they are not good men, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Yes, there's consequences. Put them on child support, send them to court, strip them of the last name, strip them of their parental rights. What I'm saying is, in this situation, I'm not that guy. I was never that guy. That's what I'm trying to say. You were talking, this is a podcast of three men who have their kids more often than not, okay, or full time, who are dealing with women who treat them as if they are scumbags because they don't conform to what they want. This would never have happened if I had married their mother. Why did I have to do that? To get the right that lesser men have right now. Lesser men have right now. Joe, you were saying. So let's put in a situation. So if your son did this, how would you handle that?
Punch him in the throat.
See, Manny is not, last thing, but with you on the other hand, if this happened to you, what would you do besides karate chopping him in the throat? Besides crane kicking him, like what would you do? Okay. Put him in a body bag.
I don't think I like I said I wouldn't be
I think, you know what? It's funny because I thought if this happened to Joe, Joe would just black out. He would black out of what happened.
Wake up the next morning, there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. He just black out.
like Moon Knight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we watch Moonlight? Yeah. Yeah, you'd black out like Moonlight. You'd wake back up and like, oh shit.
What's his third personality name again?
I don't know, something like that. But this is not. If you want to talk about this, go jump on the Geek Bros podcast. Moving on. Okay.
No, I would not tolerate that. I'm sorry. We would have a long conversation, and then I drive him over to his mother's house and have a long conversation again, and pretty much say it's not happening. And you're dealing with it. I'm sorry. Like your last name is Shanley. That's it. It's not changing. It's not hyphenating. I'm not getting your shit last name. It's happening the way it is because that's how. First off, that's how it's happening on the birth. I mean, for my situation, that's how it said. That's how it looks on the birth certificate. And no one told me this beforehand. Like I wasn't taught the skills of being a dad before I had my kid.
Of course not.
And the
nobody was.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the whole idea of having to put your name down, birth certificate, and making sure that the last name is yours. No one told me this shit. It was more or less the fact that when I was there at the hospital, the doctor looked at me, the doctor looked at her. Okay, you are a man. And she confirmed it. Oh, that we took the DNA test and all this stuff. Confirm. All right, here you go. Now this is your name, your last name on the certificate, and that was it. And it just became natural because most people, not everybody, like your kid's mom, most people know that this is a natural thing to do. And unless there are these new laws, which ironically enough, I wouldn't be surprised because of everything that's been going on in the past couple of months with this whole identity bullshit. Unless there are new laws happening where the woman now gets to have the right to sign her last name and do this and do that and that, and everything falls upon them, even though they had a baby with a guy. I just don't see how it would make any sense. And I would, like I said, I would tell my son flat out to his face, it's not happening. I'm sorry. You're not having her last name. That's an insult towards me. That's an insult towards how I raise you and how much I've been there physically, and mentally, because you have to raise your kid in a way where you want to be successful in life. So it would be an insult towards me. I'm not having that. There's one thing I've learned about going through what I'm going through with my current career is that discipline is so important to the point where if you don't have it, you won't grow. There's no way you'll grow. And I like to pass that on to my kid so that when he gets to a point where he's an adult and he decides he wants to get married and have children, he can remember what I told him about this and instill these ideas and these this conversation about how important it is to carry your legacy. It's important, man. It's very important. Nowadays, we're not in the next 10 years, we might not even have a fucking legacy. Because what is that? What's that term where mammals give birth to their own to their own kids? I think asexual. Yeah, and like you never know what's gonna happen within the next 10, 20 years. So
don't know that face, Manny. Okay, technology is a bitch. Okay, so
we don't know what's gonna happen. We may not even have a chance to pass down a legacy. Why wouldn't you want that? I mean, to me, in my opinion, it's so. Why wouldn't you want that?
It's funny because you bring this up, and this has scarred me to a point now that a question was asked of me. They said, "Well, Jay, so since you're going through this, if you were to meet a woman and you guys want to get married and she didn't want to take your last name, what would happen?" I said I'd call off the engagement. It'd be over. We break up immediately. That's probably the most misogynistic thing I've ever said in my entire life. But this is how I feel now. Yeah. I'm not going through this ever again. Not going through this ever again. If I have another kid, and she tries not to have my last name, I'll go to war. If I meet a woman and we're there and she's like, well, no, I don't, maybe I want to triple hyphenate my name, or maybe I want to keep my maiden name. I'll say, cool, you can do that, but we ain't gonna be married. Peace out. I'm out. That's how I feel now.
It's crazy.
I can't believe I don't want to say devolved, but I've become this guy because I was very open-minded. Yeah. Keep your maiden name. I don't care. We're still married. What does it mean to me now? Fuck that. Take my last name like the tradition is, or let's not get married. For you can find somebody else who will deal with this new progressive shit. That's what I've become now after this situation, and it's unfortunate, but my heart has hardened a little more now. And it really sucks, but that's how I feel. We're gonna wrap this up. I don't have anything else to say, but if you guys have any final thoughts for me and or to men who are in a similar situation, which I don't know how many of them would be, or who, give them some kind of like future reference if this happens, by all means. But Manny, we'll get to you.
I mean, it's a tough scenario, man. Like, I don't even know exactly what to say, when it comes to those kind of situations, because it's a difficult ask, and it's a difficult conversation. The only thing I could say is find out where it's coming from and try to make that opinion a fact rather than something that's assumed based on someone else's feelings and regrets in their past, like i.e. like in Jason's scenario where it's basically all on the mom. This is all started and ended and will continue. I should say, I shouldn't even say end, will continue with her, because she started this way in the past when the boys were born. Yeah, so this is something that needs to be learned, because the one thing that I've began, or I should say I've known, is that with this generation of children, and I'm sure it's going to get worse with future generations, is that common sense and I want to say ethics and something else that I can't even put my hand on. It's not the same as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, everybody's all about their own feelings and what they themselves see and feel.
Oh yeah.
So, we grew up in a different generation. We grew up, feelings don't matter, and that sucks, because we've been groomed to be a certain kind of way when it comes to emotions. And today's generation is the exact opposite. So we just have to be able to, and the next generation also has to deal with it too, sit down and be able to converse and think outside the box. It's not always about you, and that's the sad part. So my advice is, don't press too hard, because this generation retaliates as soon as there's a little bit of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Take it step by step and try to have that other individual understand. If they choose not to understand, then move on, because that's one thing that this generation is good at, is moving the fuck on. We're not going to sit here and keep poking and keep bothering ourselves when we've got other things to deal with. This world is not an easy place to live in, and we're not going to sit here and continue making it worse. We're going to try and just live out the rest of our lives with as much peace as we can. So just that's all I can say, is just try and speak it out, try and converse in a mild mannered way, and if it doesn't work out, then like Jason did, just keep it moving. It hurts, it sucks, but our generation is really good at internalizing that pain.
God, which is not healthy.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy, because that's the thing though. I internalize all of it, and I'm really chill about it. And it's what we said. If you get me to explode, it's because you really want it. But when you get me to explode, you get everything. You get everything. you know, because
And
it's all internalized, but because I choose to, and you're absolutely right. And then I'm faced with a situation where I'm mad at both you and me. I'm mad at you for poking me there, and I'm mad at me because you made me lose my composure.
for allowing it. Yep.
You allowed me to explode, and I hate that because that's not who I want to be. So that's not who I've ever been, you know.
Yeah.
And so Joe,
Not who you are.
it's not exactly, but yet it has happened, you know, and it sucks. Joe, advice for either me and or men who are either in this situation or who may be in a situation that have a difficult woman in their life or anything like that.
If it gets to a point where you can be cordial, somehow, some way, in a miraculous way, I would try to sit down with the mother, and just have a conversation as to. I mean, you can't really present any. I mean, you can present the benefits, I guess, of the child having that last name, because, again, you can talk about how they can have a future of the last name carry on with their legacy and blah blah blah. But if it comes to a point where you can be somewhat cordial, I would sit down with both parties and see what you can come up with if they're cordial. Now, if they're uncooperative,
Triple hyphenation.
if they're uncooperative, I would certainly, as painfully as it has me say this, I would say just go to court. Because if you don't fight for something like that, and let me just make it clear, that may seem very minuscule to a lot of people out in this world right now, especially the folks that listen to us. But to many, it's huge. And if you don't fight for something like that, especially in court or just period, you're gonna have a lot of fucking problems with that same individual who you had a child with. I'm not specifically talking about you, Jay.
No, of course.
because
Of course.
we already know how many problems that you've been having,
Mhm.
especially continuing on to now, and it's been what, 18, 19 years. So I can only imagine the folks
17,
out-
okay, 17 years. Thank you very
17,
much.
sorry. But I can only imagine with
And
the
a half.
folks who I can imagine with the folks who, especially the men who have to go through this and who are decent, good men, and they have this issue. And I'm sure there are many out there who do.
Mhm.
And it's it's just, again, it's one of those things where you have to fight. You have to, because if you don't, if you just sit back and do nothing, and I'm talking about with the woman, not with the kids. You sit back and do nothing and allow this to happen. I promise you, there's going to be more issues. You don't want that. No one
A
wants
policy of appeasement with a
Yeah.
nasty, toxic, disgusting woman
Yeah.
will never end.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
being real with you. If you appease her, you let it go, and you don't draw a line in the sand. It took me too long to draw a line in the sand, but by then, so much ground was gained that it's basically like it's like war. It really is. What is why I use the term peace and war with me and her. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
It's a war, and in wartime, if you let an enemy gain too much ground in your territory, it's a bitch to fight back and take it back.
Yeah.
You'll be in a stalemate,
Yeah.
and I was a different guy in my 20s, unfortunately. You're talking about 10 years. It was a policy of appeasement. I would take it on the chin. I'd
Yeah.
fight back a little bit. But I was always on the defense, and all I wanted to be was left alone. That's it. So, if anyone wants to know, so the result of course, guys, those who are listening, the result is, he will keep his mother's last name. That I will be deleting my name off of his birth certificate. My last name, that is, not my name, but my last name. And he will go back. He will return to. I think I have to go to court and submit a legal name change petition. I don't expect any pushback from their mother, so she'll sign it. They'll take it. It'll be done. It'll take 3 weeks, and then that's it. And this chapter that will officially close. It was always closed, but I opened it and I tried to edit some things, but the editor told me no. So that's it. But at least I know that I tried. At least I know that I stood up for something. So in the end, when that question is, well, why is your oldest doesn't have your last name? I can say, well, this is what happened. It's a sucky question. It's a sucky story, but it is what it is. And when that question, if he has grandchildren, that question will be brought up, and it'll be brought up. It'll be a sore topic forever.
Yeah.
But I'll get over it. I dealt with it all this time. and I'll deal with it going forward. There will be consequences. There are always consequences, but you do what you have to do. And that is the end of that. So I'd like to thank you guys for hearing me out and giving me your advice and give me your understanding. I'd like to thank the listeners who are listening to another one of my sad sack stories, because that's what Last of the Nice Guys has evolved into for me. Sad sack stories from my life. But you got to laugh at it. So, but yes, that's it. Any of you gentlemen who've heard this story and you have words, advice, even you women, and I don't care what you say, negative, you can throw it in my face. I was very transparent. There's nothing, there's no other side. This is the side. I was very transparent. I knew who I was then with her, and I knew how I eventually pushed that aside. I knew who I was and was I not. And not many, most men like us do not reach this level that I'm at. They walk away. Men have walked away for far less. Far less. And I said this in this podcast many times, when it comes to baby daddies, she could have gotten way, oh my God, way worse than I ever was at my worst over almost 2 decades ago. And that was nothing. I'll be real with this right now. Thank you guys for your time. Please send us emails, lastoftheniceguys@yahoo.com, lastoftheniceguys@yahoo.com. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you guys would say. We'd definitely read it. Again, you're on my side, you're on her side, you're on nobody's side. You want to throw it in my face, go for it. Trust me, I've heard it all before. You can't say anything worse to me than my own son said to me. So trust me, I can take it. So just send us, let me hear it. I'd love to, if there's any topic that I'd love to hear an answer on, it'd be this. With that being said, I'm Jason.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Manny.
And thank you for your time.
The Last of the Nice Guys. Follow, like, and subscribe on Twitter and Instagram at Last Nice Guys, Facebook.com/Last Nice Guys, or email lastoftheniceguys@yahoo.com.